everyone, it's Kathy Champion, and thank you so much for stopping by. I'm so glad that you're here, and I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Gastonia, North Carolina, and welcome in. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please take the time to hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost a thing to subscribe. You can ring the bell right beside of it. Helps me grow my channel, and the more views I get, the higher my rating with YouTube is, and the more that they promote my videos, which is always a good thing. So if you have not subscribed, please do so. It means so much to me, and I treat all my subscribers like family, because we are a crafty family. So today I wanted to play with color, and I had told y'all in my last video, and that last video was when I did this card, and I used the die set from this In Blooms called Pierced Blooms, and I said I wanted to come back and do some stamping using this particular set. I love these flowers. I just think they're so cute. So we're going to use some pieces of cardstock. I got several different small pieces, and we're going to just stamp and have fun with some different colors. Before we get started, this is our host code that runs through Sunday. So if you order from me and use this host code, you will get a free gift sometime in February. Usually they're a month behind, so whatever is shopped in January, the products go out in February. If you shopped in December, then they went out in January. So that's the only way that I can do it. So it's kind of a month behind, but you will get a free gift from me. Celebration. So every $50 you spend, Stampin' Up's going to let you choose a free gift out of the Celebration catalog, which is so super great. This paper that I used on this card, the pattern paper, that is a free paper pack, and they're very generous, 12 by 12 paper packs. There is one 6 by 6, but most of them are 12 by 12. Okay, let's get started. This host code will also be in the description below. Like I said, this stamp set, and I didn't realize how much I would love this stamp set when I bought it, but I have used it and used it and used it, and I continue to use it. It's just cute, it's whimsical, and it's so much fun. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to peel it back and lay it here so I can have access to it. And I've got 3 different palettes of ink. I have a Daffodil Delight, a Balmy Blue, and a Granny Apple Green. And I randomly pulled some inks that I thought would go good together. Here we have Bermuda Bay, Crushed Curry, and Calypso Coral. How pretty are those? And then my last palette is Highland Heather, Blushing Bride, and Garden Green. So I'm going to take these one at a time, and we're going to stamp them out and just make some background pieces for cards. And I think I'm going to start out with my Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to stamp. Let me get my Stampin' Scrub, so we'll have it over here. And I also have my Memento Tuxedo Black, because you always need a little pop of black just to make things come alive. I'm going to put a little Stampin' Mist on my Stampin' Scrub and just a little tiny squirt of water. And then I am ready to clean up my stamps as I go. So I think the first stamp I'm going to do is this one right here. And let's grab that piece of cardstock. I'm just going to lay it right here. I put my grid paper down because I am going to be stamping on and off. And let's see if I can zoom y'all in a little bit. So let's go ahead and load up this stamp. And I'm going to randomly stamp on and off of my paper using this beautiful Daffodil Delight. It's a really pretty yellow. I'm going to turn my paper as I stamp. And this is all we want to do, is just go kind of on and off the paper. Now I'm going to clean this stamp up. And I think I'm going to grab a smaller flower. So let's do this one right here. And I'm going to load him up on the stamp block. And let's close this ink pad up, and let's grab our balmy blue. And now we're just going to fill in, just stamping. You know what I should have had? I should have had my Stampin' Pierce mat underneath this. So let me do this. I've got a little piece of used grid paper here that we can lay this on. This will probably make this much better. Okay, let's try this now. And now let's go ahead and close this one up. And I'm going to grab the Granny Apple Green. And now we need a leaf. So I'm going to take this one off and put it back onto my pad. And I'm going to grab this, kind of the shorter leaf. I think I like that one. Maybe the leaf would fit better. I like to grab stamp blocks that fit my image. That gives you a better chance of being stable when you are inking and also when you're stamping. And we're going to go back in with some little small flowers. This would probably be like a center, but we're going to use that. And we are going to go back to the blue. We need to make our flowers come to life. Nothing makes your flowers pop like a little dotting of black. And this stamp set has this little tiny, I don't know if you're seeing that, but that, when we start stamping the black in the middle of these flowers, you will see what I'm talking about. They come to life. So my Memento Black, and now look how that little black just brought that whole piece to life. And look at those colors. Aren't they gorgeous? This is a good way to use a stamp set and make your very own background paper. And we are going to use these to make cards, but we're going to work with 2 more palettes of ink. So let's cover up this one. Using the same stamp set, I'm going to now use the Bermuda Bay, the Calypso Coral, and the Crushed Curry. So I'm going to start out with my Calypso Coral, and I'm going to bring over another piece of cardstock. I didn't even check to see what these were cut at. I just had some scrap pieces in my scrap bin, and I pulled them out, and I just wanted to play and see what happened. much with these now. So you wanted to coordinate your cardstock. This balmy blue. We're going to cut down a card base to put that on. I'm going to move these two over to the side and this one right here. And bring up our trimmer. And I'm going to cut this in half on the 11-inch side, so I'm going to take it to 5.5. And then I'm going to score this at 4 1/4. Let's get that cut blade out of our way. Now I'm going to bring this over and fold it. And grab my bone folder. I'm not going to take the trimmer anywhere because I need to check and see if I need to cut down this piece. And I'm going to iron out my edges on my cardstock. And now we need to look at this one and see what our measurements are, because remember I did not measure these. So we need this to be about 4. Let's do it at 4. And if you don't want to take all of it off on one side, you want to kind of do it on each side. If it's a 1/4 inch, which this is, take it to 1/8. And just take off 1/8 of an inch on this side. And you can turn it around and take 1/8 of an inch off on this side, or just put it to the 4. That way you're evening it up. And now we know we need this to be 5 1/4. So we've got almost 1/2 inch. So I'm going to take off about almost 1/4 here. And then I'm going to turn it and put it on the 5 1/4 and then take the rest of it off. And that's how I cut down my cardstock after I've cut a piece. A lot of times you can cut your pieces to the right size before you start. But I didn't because I wasn't sure. I just grabbed some scraps and started stamping. Oh, that's so pretty. Look at that. Now we need the Daffodil Delight. Yep, we're going to put a sentiment across this. And also some ribbon. Alright, I am back, and what we were doing was looking at this piece, and I wanted to show you that if you don't like an area, and when I started looking at this, I didn't like those 3 green leaves going across there. Not a problem. Anytime that you have something like that and you've stamped it and then you look back at it and you don't quite like it, break it up. Break it up with a piece of just a strip, and this is a 1 3/4 by 4 inch strip of the blue cardstock. This is the balmy blue, and all I'm going to do is just run it right across there. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move my card base, and we're going to use some of our Stampin' Seal adhesive, and I'm just going to run 1 strip right down the middle, and then I'm going to sit this down from one end to the other, just barely covering those leaves right there. That will break up those strip of green leaves across the middle, and it camouflages it. So now you don't have that really heavy pop of green right there in the middle. I also pulled out my gingham ribbon because how cute is that yellow gingham with this card? I thought it was super cute. And I got a piece of Daffodil Delight that we're going to put a sentiment on. And I think I want this card to be maybe a thinking of you card. This stamp set is so great for the thinking of you, the thank you, just the happy birthday. There's so many great sentiments in this stamp set that this is a go-to for me. And I wanted to do the one that says thinking of you. And what I want to do is look for a die, and I pulled out my Hippo and Friends because I love the label dies in this particular set. And I'm hoping this small one will work. I'm not sure. We're going to try it. I'm going to stamp it and see if the small one will cut it, because I really want something kind of small and more delicate to do this with. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that right there. And I'm going to do it in the black ink because I think the black will make it, will pop much better. So I got my Memento black ink right here. So we're just going to stamp, just ink that up. And let me, yeah, I thought that ink was puddling over on that one side. And I told y'all I re-inked this, and I think I got it a little bit too wet, but I've been trying to use it. Yeah, so that wasn't quite enough. Maybe that looks good like that. So we're going to go ahead and try it. That looks good. So what I want to look at now is see if this, and it will just barely fit in there, but that's good. That is exactly what I wanted. And if you want to, you can push it up a little bit, and what you can do is come back and stamp one of those small flowers here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to try to overthink this. I just want to get it nice and even like that. And we'll use one of my little flags on here. Maybe come down just a hair more. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring this over to my die machine and cut it out. And what's nice about these, not only do they put a stitch mark around the image that you're cutting, but they also put a stitch mark around this. So if you wanted to cut this and have a window, you would have the stitch mark there as well, which is really great. And there's our little sentiment, really cute. So let's get this black ink covered up before I get into it where I don't want to. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is decide exactly what I want to do with this ribbon. The first thing I want to do is use my paper snips, and I want to just trim it off like that, as it had a little bit of a frayed end on it. And if you get frayed ends on your glue, on your ribbon, just take a tiny bit of your glue, and the best place to do that on is your silicone craft sheet. So I'm going to bring that over. Let me move my sentiment. And I'm just going to put a little bit of the glue right over the end of this, and then I'm just going to rub it. And that will keep that from fraying. Just a good little tip of how to keep your ribbon from fraying on you. Okay, let's get our glue dots out. I think it'd be easier to work with this with our glue dots in our hand. So what I want to do is look about the halfway point, and then I want to bring a loop in to right there and turn that ribbon down, and then loop it again over here like that. So what I want to do is put a glue dot right there in the middle. So I'm just going to come here and grab a glue dot, and the glue dots stick really good to your ribbon. Well, I said that and then it didn't catch. Only on camera. Okay, press it in and then pull it off. It's definitely there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop this around and just catch it right there into that glue dot. And then I'm going to use another glue dot on top. Just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to loop this one over and into that glue, just like that. And now I can literally take another glue dot and put on the back of this, or the front, it really doesn't matter. And then we can put this down right here on our card. About like that. And then we're going to pop this up with on dimensionals, and it's going to sit right over top of that ribbon, and it will be very pretty like that. So now some dimensionals. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put one here and one here, and then I'm going to put one at the top and the bottom, because that middle portion is going to be lifted with this. So we don't need, I don't think we're going to need one. Yeah, and see, that will sit. And you could even do that at an angle if you wanted to, but I'm going to do it like that. And let's go ahead and take off our backers. I know I have a take your pick tool in here somewhere. And we're just going to wrangle those off like this. And now we're going to put this down right here, just like that. And that will hold that ribbon in place. You look like you've got a little mock bow underneath there. It's flowing on both sides really nice. And now we can go ahead and put this down onto our card base. I'm going to use some regular liquid glue for this, because I don't think we need any more dimensions on it. And I've already got dimensions on the front, so it would be hard to use the tape runner on that, or the Stampin' Seal. So we're going to just put it down like this. And this will also give us that wiggle room, so we can make sure we get the borders just like we want them. And that looks good. Just like that. So now we can decide on what we want to do on the inside. We could do one of two things. If you wanted to put layers in here, you could very easily do a yellow and then a white, which would be beautiful. So let's grab a piece that we can cut. And all I'm going to do here is I am going to, I want to share something with y'all. I saw another demonstrator, and I don't even remember her name because I'm not subscribed to her channel, but I was just flipping through the other night, and I saw the most ingenious thing with your ribbons. I struggled with my ribbons because I would put them in a box and they would come all undone. I tried pins and it would snag them, or it would rust or something. I tried tape and then it would fray my ribbon. She used binder clips, the little binder clips like this, and all she did was wrapped it over around the edge like that, took her binder clip and put it on like that, and then folded it side down. And then she could store her ribbon with this up, and it gives you a little handle to lift your ribbon up with as well. Absolutely ingenious. So I did go through all of my ribbons, and any given roll of ribbon in my tool. And you might say, well, it's going to cause it to wrinkle right there. Very slightly, and most of us trim the edge off, or either we tape it down. So I don't think that's going to be a problem for me. I think this is an ingenious idea, and I just wanted to kind of share it with y'all because I think all of us have some binder clips, and if you don't, you can pick up a jar of them at Walmart for a little bit of nothing, and it's a great way to keep your evidently I can't talk, but it helps you to keep your ribbon organized without it, unraveling all over the place. The other thing that I did, and this was totally my idea, and this came from my grandmother being a seamstress for years and years, and I took on my spool that my linen thread came on, and I just took my scissors and snipped down into my spool about that far, and then I just brought my twine up right here and just pushed it down into that little slot. And that holds that and keeps it from coming unraveled. just thought I would pass on. I love to be able to pass on little tips to y'all like that. Whenever I run across something, I will do my best to try to share it with you because, you know, that's how we all learn. We learn from one another, and we're never ever too old to learn a new trick. So let me go ahead and get my trimmer out. And I'm going to trim this down to a card base that will fit inside there. And let's see, we're going to do this one at 4. And that's my score blade. 4 by 5 1/4. And then we are going to, you know what would be pretty? It would be so pretty to go in and embellish. And I'm thinking I want to do it with one of these smaller ones. Look how pretty this would be. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this one. And then we could do this at the top and the bottom on our white piece. Let's see what kind of white piece we've got. Let's see, that would work. Let's cut this one. And this piece should be 3 3/4. It is. And let's do it at 5 inches. And see, we have that beautiful embossed image here. See, like that? Isn't that pretty? I might even take a little bit of the green ink and just go over it ever so slightly. Sometimes it's nice to have something just a little, I'm going to take my bone folder and see if I can rub this out right here. And we could always do a little butterfly or something right there to cover that. I'm all about covering up. So, and when we stamp that, it might not even be noticeable. Thinking of you, and let's look at this stamp and say, just wanted to send some happy thoughts your way. Let's see if that'll fit on there. I think that'll look really cute right there. And I think we might be able to camouflage that. Alright, let's stamp this first. Put my die machine back together over here. Or my cut and emboss machine. I never ever say that the proper way, but y'all know what I'm talking about, right? I hope so. Alright, I am going to ink this up, and I'm trying to decide. I think I might want to do that balmy blue. I think that would be so pretty inside here, and it's going to tie those colors together beautifully. So let's get our balmy blue, and I'm going to ink this up. I'm going to stamp off over here. Yep, I'm going to ink it up a little bit more than what I just did. And I'm turning my ink pad so that I'm getting all areas of my ink pad. And now I'm going to stamp this right about here. Oh, I love that. It's so soft. So very soft. Now, if you wanted to, you could grab a little butterfly and put right here, and it would be gorgeous. You don't have to do that. We can do something a little bit different. And let's try, you know, a little yellow butterfly would be so cute. There's one of our stamp sets that's got a tiny little butterfly. It was the Kangaroo and Friends. See that tiny little butterfly? I think we're going to stamp that butterfly in yellow right there. Or maybe black and then do it in yellow. Or we could do it in the blue. just so many different ways that you can coordinate your stamps together and the different aspects of your card making. And it is so cute. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it on here in black. Just thought this needed a little bit of a something else here, because we are sending happy thoughts, right? So that's going to go on there, and the little yellow butterfly, I think we'll just tie that all together. So cute. So I'm going to do it in black. So cute. And we have got the die for this, so I am going to take advantage of not having to fussy cut something that tiny and tape it down. Now we're ready to run that through. And how cute is that going to be right there? I love it. Right, and let's put this back in here. These, I always say, anytime you're working with your separate dies and stamps, especially if they're tiny ones like that, put them back immediately, because there's nothing any more devastating than losing a piece out of one of your stamp sets or die sets. I'm just going to pop this on with a glue dot. About there. And I'm going to use liquid glue on the back of this because I want this to adhere, and you've got all of your little nooks and crannies down here that might keep you from getting a good adhesion. So liquid glue always works better on an embossed piece. And let's go ahead and line this up. Just like that. So pretty. And now we can put this in here. So for all of you who say, you know, I don't have the pretty designer paper like you use, here is a way that you can actually make something just as pretty by just using your inks and your regular cardstock. And it's such a pretty way to make a card, and when you finish it, you're going to have pride in saying that this card was 100% handmade. The only thing you didn't do was mill the paper. And how pretty is that? So cute. I love that. So that gives me a thinking of you card if I needed to send one to a friend or a relative that might be going through a hard time. The next one is this piece right here. And I love this. And I'm not sure if I want to do this on the purple, the green. I love that green right there. And I'm not too sure because we don't have, this was done with the garden green on the second generation stamping. So I don't have that color green. But you know what? The soft sea foam and my supples. Nope, that's bright. These are supples. The soft sea foam might give us what we need there. Here, pizzazz is very pretty. And we're going to do a card base. So again, I'm going to... And there's two ways to do card bases. You can cut your piece of paper at 4 1/4 and then fold it at 5 1/2, or you can cut it at 5 1/2 and fold it at 4 1/4. It all depends on what style card you like. I happen to be more of a 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. So I like to bring my 11-inch side and cut it down at 5 1/2, like this, and then score it at 4 1/4, which is half of my 8.5. Like that. And then you have a beautiful card that you can use either landscape or portrait. And the other way you can too, and I'll show you how to do one of those at one point, but I want to work on these other 2 cards so we can say that we made 3 cards in today's session. I think that'd be great. Not only did we make the cards, but we made our pattern paper as well. Alright, you know, I forgot to put this up. Alright, let me do a little bit of house cleaning and I'll be right back. Alright, I've got my work surface a little more manageable. It's so easy for things to pile up around you. When you only have a certain amount of room on each side of where you're working, sometimes it can get a little bit, just a tad bit more than what you would like. What I did while I was off camera after I cleaned, I went ahead and we already had gotten this ready, and I thought, I was looking at the colors and I really wanted to matte this in that Blushing Bride. I think that's a beautiful shade. It looks really good against that green, the Pear Pizzazz. And then I tried this on it and I went ahead and cut these all down. So like I told you, my card base is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. My Blushing Bride is 4, let's see, 4 yeah, 4 by 5 1/4, and then I cut this down to 3 3/4 by 5. So that gets everything layered, so you have that beautiful little border around it. But I thought before we go any further, I wanted to put some ribbon down. So I grabbed this Highland Heather ribbon, and I think this has retired. I think this was maybe a last year product, but I had some left over. So I'm gonna, before I cut it, what I want to do is I want to bring some of it back and forth across here. So in order to do that, I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal, and I'm trying to decide which way do I need it to go. I need it to go in this direction. And I'm going to put a piece there and a piece down at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch my ribbon just barely in the edge of this all the way over, just like that. And I'm going to wrap it. And you want to make sure that you're keeping your margin of where your ribbon is laying about the same. So I'm going to bring that up and stick it, and then I'm going to go ahead and clip that. This will help save on your ribbon. So instead of wrapping it around and around, I'm clipping it each time. So then I'm going to come back and I'm going to lay that down right beside of it, and I'm going to run another line right beside that, so you get that little double line in the middle. Isn't that pretty? And I'm going to bring it over and tack it down into my adhesive. And I'm going to cut that off. Now that's all I want to do with that piece right there. Now underneath here, I am going to bring in a glue dot and stick it right about there. But I'm going to wait to do that until after I get my card on here. The reason I say that is because I want to put a bow on it, and I think I might want my bow to land right about in that area. So let's go ahead and use some more Stampin' Seal. And let's get this adhered down to our first mat. Just like that. Isn't that so pretty? I love those colors. So now I want to decide exactly where I want my bow. And this is the good thing about having this here. You can actually bring your bow up and make almost like a little mock bow. You know, just tie, I'm going to turn it this way so that I can tie my ribbon. And I'm just going to loop it into a little knot. And I'm trying to decide if I want it to go up high or down low. I think I want it to go about there. Just about like that. Now that's all you have to do with that bow. You don't have to do anything else to that except just tie it in a knot. This is known as a knot bow, and they're very easy. So if you have difficulty with tying bows, and so many people do, I struggle with them sometimes, and then sometimes my bows turn out beautiful. So it just depends. So I'm going to cut that off there and that there. And this is where my glue dot's going to come in. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to come down and grab my next glue dot, and I'm going to come underneath my bow, and I am going to put that down right there and let that bow catch it. That way I know that this is not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay right there in that spot, and then I can just pull that tight, and then my bow actually looks more like a real bow. Alright, now we need to work on a sentiment to go on here. And I am thinking that I want to do something with that petal pink, the nature, and look how cute that is. And I think a happy birthday on that would just be exactly what we want this card to be and what we want this card to say. So I'm going to put my die back up. And we're going to probably put that right there and maybe pop it up. Maybe we can put it right there by the bow. That would be cute. Kind of like it over on this side too. Alright, let's get a happy birthday that is the art gallery. These are meant to fit in to these. So I'm going to grab the happy birthday off of this particular set. And we're going to set that down on top. Now, in the best case scenario, I probably would have stamped this and then cut it, but we're going to see if we can make this work. So let me grab my let's see if this stamp block will work. I'm going to pull this down. Hopefully I will not get it out of frame, but I just need to get my own head over it. Okay, that looks good. Very pretty. Alright, I'm coming down even a little further, closer to me. All I'm going to do is stamp this, so just bear with me. I've got to get my head over it so I can get it even. And we did it. So let's need to clean that stamp, but I'm going to leave it right there for right this minute. And let's cover this up. I definitely need to clean that since I re-inked it. My lid is a mess. So, and I'm so afraid every time I touch it that I'm going to transfer that ink to my card. Alright, let's go back here and put down some Stampin' Seal. And even though I've got this ribbon on it, it's not like it's anything that's majorly sitting up on the card, so I can do my Stampin' Seal without any problem. And some people might ask, what do you like better, Stampin' Seal or liquid glue? And I really have to say that it depends on what I'm using it for. So when I was first started out with paper crafting, I was definitely a liquid glue girl, because if you struggle with getting your pieces on straight and you get very frustrated, use liquid glue. You have a much easier chance of getting your pieces on nice and straight than you would with a Stampin' Seal or a tape runner or any type of snail or anything like that. Alright, what I'm going to do with this is I'm using mini glue dots, and because I want to pop that up, and I'm using my Take Your Pick tool to pick these up because they're tiny and they can be a little bit cumbersome to get onto your card because, or your piece, because they are tiny. But they work great when you're working with a small piece like this, and take your pick tool, like I said, is your best friend in your craft room. You will grab this thing for so many things over and over and over. And let's do this. And now I'm going to pick that up. And let's decide, I think I'm going to put it right in the middle. Right, almost in the middle. Right up by that bow, but over to the left, to the right just a little bit. And press that down. And there we go. A beautiful, simple, elegant, happy birthday. So now I need to put a mat on the inside. I'm just going to do one layered mat inside, and I'm going to do that pink to carry through here. So I'm going to take the Blush and Bride, this piece that we've already cut on, and I am going to cut this little strip off. Let's make sure I'm getting this as even as I can. There we go. And so now I want to cut a piece that's 5 1/4 by 4. And I will save this strip because, as you can see, this strip right here would have cut this piece out. So I save pieces like that because they can be used again. Alright. So now for this piece, I want to do that decorative corner. And in order to do that, I need to grab my trio punch. And I love, love, love this punch. It makes doing decorative corners so easy. I would love for Stampin' Up to come out with some more of their corner punches because I think they are lovely. And there we go. I think this is just so delicate. And I think because this is such a delicate card, I think this will be pretty. And that bit of pear pizzazz is going to peek through these little pieces. Get that up in there. There we go. And one more right there. And we are done with that. I'm going to try to put all my trash to the side, and we'll clean this up after we finish with everything. But yeah, see how that little bit of green is going to pop through and it just looks so cute. Alright, we need a sentiment now for the happy birthday. And I am going to, that will say what I want it to say. I love this Happiest of Birthdays. That's such a very pretty stamp set, and it makes a statement because it will cover pretty much the inside of your card. I think I'm going to use that one, and I'll tell you why. The card is kind of subtle on the outside, so we're going to make it pop on the inside just by this huge wishing you the happiest of birthdays. I love that. I think it's so pretty. Get our little tool out, and I'm going to sit this inside. This is one of those times where you're so happy that your paper has two sides. I'm going to grab a magnet. These magnets are super, super duper strong. And what I'm doing is I'm lining this up exactly where I want it. I'm going to put a magnet across the corner. I am going to sit my stamp down where I want it to stamp. And then I'm going to use my door. Uh-oh. Yeah, I got to change it but see where I put this so I know exactly where to put it down. I'm using the photopolymer, so I don't need the cushion. So I'm going to take the cushion out, a little silicone mat that I keep in there, and I know that this is where I had it. So now I can put that down. Yep, just did a test run on it to make sure that was correct. And I'm going to use my stamp case to fit up under here because this gives us a nice flat surface to work on, which is always important when we are using our Stamparatus because you don't want to ink this up on an uneven surface. And what's so great about this is we can stamp it, and if we don't get a good image the first time, I'm just really pressing that in, and we didn't, we can come back, re-ink, and you can just keep doing this until you get the depth of color that you want. So this is a great tool to have in your, and you could use this for all of your stamping. It's not just for, you know, maybe large stamps or anything like that. You can use this for any and all of your stamping. So if you might be one of those persons that don't care for stamp blocks, but you would prefer to use your Stamparatus, and you can do that. I find that there are things that I like to do with my Stamparatus, and there's things that I like to just be able to pick up a stamp block and do. I'm going to move this over and let it dry, and I am going to grab my cloth, my cleaning cloth, and I'm going to put a little bit of Stampin' Mist right here on the corner, and I am going to clean the stamp. That's how I clean my stamps. You can do this, or you can use your Simply Chamois. That would be another thing that you could use to clean this off with. But I had this right here, and I had to go dig my chamois out, and I probably would have had to go and wet it and all of that. So I decided just to go this route. So I'm going to put my magnet back over here where I find it again. Take that stamp off. I'm going to go ahead and put my mat back in here so that it will be ready, because most of the time I'm using photopolymer when I use this. That was just an exception to the rule. Stick that back over where it belongs. And let's go ahead and put our stamp back in, and by the time we get all that done, our ink should be dry, and we can go ahead and put that onto our card, and our second card will be finished. So I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal again. And then we are just going to very, very gently set this down in here, just like that, and press it. And there is our second card done. Isn't it pretty? I love it. Second card done. Now we're going on to our third card, and that is this one. All right. Mango Melody, I think. Yes. No, Crushed Curry. I'm sorry. Crushed Curry, Calypso Coral, and Bermuda Bay. I'm thinking I want the Bermuda Bay card base and the Calypso Coral. Ta-da! I think we got it. So, Calypso Coral, and then the Crushed Curry, and then we will accent it with the Bermuda Bay. I think that would be pretty. Bright and cheery. Or maybe this one will make it a get well card since it's so bright and cheery. So we're going to do our card base out of this, and then mat it in this. Let me make sure this is big enough for a mat. Yep, that is 4 by 5 1/4, perfect. So let's cut this down to a card base, and I'll show you this time how it looks if you do this in a the other direction. So I'm putting it in at 4 1/4, and I'm going to cut it this way, and then we're going to turn it to 5 1/2, and we're going to score it. Now this gives us a card that's in this format, which you can open it this way, or top flip fold. So this is just another way that you can make your card, and I might do this one and actually open it from the side. I meant to do the other one that way, and I got busy and caught up into the creativity of it all, and I didn't make it. So I just totally forgot. Alright, so that's going to look really good. Isn't that pretty? So let's go ahead and get our trimmer. We need to cut this piece down to 3 1/4 by 5. I mean 3 3/4 by 5. So 3 3/4 would be here. So that's a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off of both sides. 1/4 inch, and then turn it. And take a 1/4 inch off of this side. And then turn it, and we need this to be 5, so that's another 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go a 1/4 inch here, and then we're going to turn it, and this time I'm going to line it up right on the 5 and trim it from the 5-inch mark, and that will give us our perfect piece for our front of our card. Alright, and we decided we're going to go this direction with this one. So, let's see. Let's go ahead and I think for this one I want something just kind of bold and off the page. And I'm wondering if we can do a circle right in the middle, and we could cut a decorative circle out of this. And it's going to be a get well card, and we'll tie a bow up on the top edge of it. I think that would be really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere my pieces together, and I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus, and we are just going to put some little pieces around the edges. One little piece in the middle. And then I am going to lay it on here, getting my little border all the way around, just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing again, the Stampin' Seal Plus. And I like my leaves going down, because you don't normally see leaves growing upward, so that's the reason I chose that. Let's see, this is going to fit on here just like that. How pretty. So now I want to cut a circle, and I'm thinking maybe a scallop circle or a, let me get my stitch shapes. I love those stitch shapes. And let's do, let me look at my sentiment. I think I'm going to use the one, what did I do with it? We could always do Healing Hugs. This is one of the older stamp sets, but it's always so pretty. Sending you healing vibes, that would be pretty, and I think that would fit in there. So let's, sending you healing vibes, and that will fit. And I think I'm going to use this little textured stamp. And let's go ahead and stamp this first. So I'm going to stamp it right about there. That way I know that I can get that cut out of there. So let's just say right about here. Grab a stamp block. And I am going to do this in the black because I do want it to pop. And right about there. Very nice. And I'm going to take the Bermuda Bay and we are going to do a little bit of stamping on here. Let's see, let's clean this stamp set off, or the stamp. I need my block. And let's light this one up, and I'm going to stamp off and off. Yeah, I think I like it like that. So we're going to stamp off and then stamp on, stamp off and stamp on, stamp off and stamp on. I just wanted a tiny bit of that texture to show around that. So clean that one off. And that one's good to go. I'll put that back over there. Putting my happy birthday one that I used a while ago back where it belongs. Alright, so now we're ready to cut that out. So I'm going to center that around there, just like that. And there's our little piece that's ready to go on our card. And if you wanted to, you could bring in a little piece of the Calypso Coral or the Bermuda Bay. Well, I don't want to use the Bermuda Bay. How about the Calypso, the crushed curry, that's what I'm trying to say. And I'm wondering if I want to do just a strip of this. And I am going to take that over. I'm going to cut about a 3/4 inch strip. And then on this piece, I'm going to iron this out. I'm going to ribbon tail cut it, or if you've got the one of the label punches, you can actually use that. I'll tell you what, let's get that and I'll show you how that works. I think you've seen me use it before, but just in case, it won't hurt to pull it out. It's always nice to use our tools if we've got them. And that is this one right here. It's the tailored tag punch. And it looks like that. And all we're going to do is open it up. And we are going to bring this piece in, just barely, getting it right in the center. Just like that. I didn't tell y'all how long this piece is. It is 4 1/4. Okay. Get that in there. Get it centered up. Once you're pleased with it, close your punch down and punch. And see, it gives you a cute little dovetail every time. So we're going to do the other side the same way. In, center, close it down. Sometimes you got to get the leverage on your hand just right. And stamp. I mean punch. I've been stamping so much, I've got stamping in the brain. So for this piece I want to pop it up. So dimensionals are right here. So I'm going to put maybe 3 across here. pull these off, just like that. Let's get a little bit of this stuff out of our work area. Make it a tad bit neater. There we go. Okay, we got that done. So I'm going to put this right across the middle, just like that. And what that's going to do, it's going to anchor our Sending Healing Vibes, and we are just going to glue that down right across that strip. So we're going to know that we need to put adhesive about here. And I'm going to use some regular glue. You'll see how I use my Take Your Pick to mark my area. So just some glue like that, and then I'm going to sit this right down into that glue, centering it right in the middle. Let it tack. And once it gets tacky, then it won't go anywhere. And how pretty is that? I'm just using a piece of cardstock for a ribbon. So it just goes to show that you can use what you got. You can, you know, match up some colors. Grab some of your stamp sets out. You know, if you don't have colored ink, stamp them in black on white paper and color them. And then stick them onto your card. I mean, there's so many ways that you can make beautiful things just by putting some pieces of paper together. So I am so hoping that this video brought you joy and happiness, and I'm trying to decide what I want to stamp inside. I might leave this one blank. I know I'm going to put down the Calypso Coral, but I've got to grab a piece for my mat. But I'm going to stamp something, or either this one, since I'm sending Healing Vibes, I may want to make a personal note from this. The other thing that with one that we didn't put ribbon on, you might want to throw a couple of rhinestones or some type of decorative jewels. You might want to look, and if you're interested in these, they are a great little gem, pack of gems to have. And I'm going to use my putty end of my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm just going to put a couple of these on here, and maybe one of these smaller ones right there. Oops, I got a little piece of putty on that. It's okay. And then maybe another smaller one up here. And I think we're going to use a bigger one and stick it right here. And just adding that little bit of jewels just can make the world of difference in the way your card pops. So let's bring back all of our cards and let's look at each one of them. We're going to put that one in the middle since he's landscape. And these are, let's zoom you out just a little bit. Oops, wrong way. I always go the wrong way. There we go. And how pretty are these three cards? And they are totally handmade. From stamping the paper to the sentiments to the ribbons to everything. We put these together from scratch and it was so much fun. So get in your craft room today and create something beautiful. Use what you got, stamp to your heart's content, and remember what I always say in every closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven, because He is so worthy. Send a card to someone today that you feel like might need a lift, and let someone know you love them. And until we craft again, bye-bye.